Tonight's top story.
Many business owners are skeptical about the so-called entertainment districts.
I'm not completely sold that there's a whole lot of benefit to this. But that's, I guess, why we're having these meetings.
Committee Chairman Kip Tyner believes progress was made throughout the debate.
A number of the bar and restaurant owners feel like that it will help their business. The meeting went from negative to more positive toward the end.
Some bar owners on the strip near the University of Alabama campus say an entertainment district helps bring in business suited towards the game day environment. Others are not in favor, but aren't ruling out possible benefits.
I don't see much benefit, but that doesn't mean that the benefit's not out there. Like I said before, at this point for me, it's going to be a whole lot more about research and trying to find out if there are benefits to it.
One of the main concerns business owners had is possibly being held liable for patrons who leave with a full beverage from their establishment.
You don't know how much more intoxicated that particular drink is going to make them, and you're still liable for anything they might do as a result of them being intoxicated.
Tyner says there was enough positive feedback from the committee, though, which makes him hopeful about getting a trial run established.
I still think we'll probably maybe try to put this in place. I have a feeling, for game days only at first, and then do special events.
Tyner says it's safe to say that this will not be a 365-day policy. In Tuscaloosa, Travis Leader, WVUA News.
Travis, thank you. The Entertainment District Committee will meet again next Thursday. Many in the committee want to hear from cities where entertainment districts are already enacted and find out whether this policy has worked in similar environments. We'll, of course, keep you posted on further developments. Well, if you live in the city limits of Tuscaloosa, you could soon be paying more for water. Early estimates are that water bills could go up by 3.6%, but officials say that number is not final. Several water and sewer projects are scheduled for the city, which is the reason for the price hike. Efforts are underway to determine what kind of rate increase will be needed to cover the cost of the renovations. A mother and her one-year-old child are in the hospital tonight after being hit by a pickup truck. Now, it happened early this morning in Tuscaloosa, and tonight family and friends are praying for a speedy recovery after a terrifying accident.
Okay, just tell me what you said earlier about
When Cynthia Tubbs answered the phone late last night, she heard her friend's voice on the other end.
And she was telling me she ran out of gas.
But as Tubbs' friend was describing what happened, the conversation suddenly stopped.
The phone didn't never hang up. I can tell we still had a connection, but she wasn't saying anything else.
Tubbs searched for her friend, but she never found her. She did notice police working a wreck, and when she returned home, her worst fears were confirmed.
I stay next door to her grandmother, and her grandmother was coming out her driveway. She wasn't wasting no time, so that automatically let me know.
Police say the woman, who they are not identifying at this time, was holding her one-year-old baby when an oncoming truck struck the back door of her vehicle.
She was getting the baby out the car, and I assume a car had to been coming by, and that's when it hit her.
This morning, only remnants of the wreck remained: shrapnel from the cars and the child's pacifier. The driver of the other vehicle told police he tried to stop, but there just wasn't enough time. He later found both mother and child in a nearby ditch, alive, but in very serious condition.
Thank God it's a good Samaritan out there that care enough to stop and know that they hit a person to check on them, but I pray for her and her family.
The woman and her child, as we said, were both taken to the hospital and are both listed in serious condition. Police say they are still investigating the incident. On your home team Crime Watch tonight, suspects are still on the loose after robbing a local bank. Tuscaloosa police need your help tracking down two men wanted in connection with an armed robbery. Now take a look at the surveillance video. Police say it happened at Alabama Central Credit Union on 15th Street around 12:30 Wednesday afternoon. One suspect wore a red hooded sweatshirt and glasses. The other, a black jacket and what appears to be a ski mask.
No one was hurt in the commission of the crime. They did force the tellers to lay down on the floor when they left, but nobody was injured.
Now, the suspects got away with an undisclosed amount of money and left the bank on foot. Here's another look at the suspects. If you have any information, you are asked to call Tuscaloosa County Crime Stoppers at 752-STOP. That call will remain confidential. Well, time now to get a first check on your home team forecast. Another hot one outside today. But Richard, when we spoke earlier this afternoon, you said there might be some good news for us, lower humidity in our future.
Yeah, John, a little bit of good news to talk about now. In the meantime, still hot out there tonight. Now, we're talking 84 in Tuscaloosa, 88 over in Magic City in Birmingham. It's still mild tonight, very muggy out there. That does start to change. Things are going to our weekend plans. We're watching shower storms happen northwest of us tonight. In fact, on a radar satellite composite, here come storms moving our way. They will likely arrive during the day on Friday. Now, after that, it gets a little bit cooler at night, also less humid out there. But for our Friday plans, still hot, hazy, humid. We're talking a good chance of rain, about a 50-50 shot of rain at your house tomorrow. 94 for an afternoon high with storms going to be in the area, especially after lunch. What about the slightly cooler and less humid air to talk about? Your forecast is straight ahead.
All right, thank you, Richard. Well, U.S. Education Secretary Arne Duncan is urging colleges and universities to adopt an easy-to-understand financial aid form to help students. Now, the one-page document would provide each student with information on cost, how much they'd receive in grants and scholarships, and what loan options are available. The hope is that students will make smarter decisions on where to study, how to pay, and determine what they'll owe. The sheet also provides details on the percent of students who graduate, how much they will pay on monthly federal loans, and the default rate. Duncan said the current student aid letters many universities use are often too complicated. The University of Alabama has yet to adopt this form. Well, Facebook shares fell Thursday after its first quarterly earnings report as a public company failed to wow investors. Shares fell more than 10% to around $24 in after-hours trading. That's nearly 40% below the company's initial public offering price. However, Facebook did beat analysts' predictions slightly. Revenues rose 32% from a year ago to nearly $1.2 billion, factoring in compensation expenses for a net loss of $157 million. Facebook did generate a profit of 12 cents a share. And Facebook may not be impressing investors, but that's not the case for ExxonMobil. The oil company said today it raked in nearly $16 billion in the second quarter this year. That's its highest quarterly report profit ever. But half of that money came from the selling of some of its assets and from tax-related items. Now, if you take out that chunk of money, the company made $8.4 billion, and that's down 21% compared to the same quarter last year. Another piece from the Jerry Sandusky sexual abuse puzzle turns up. Two attorneys in State College, Pennsylvania say they've identified one of Sandusky's victims, known as victim number 2. We are also hearing from Sandusky himself in voicemails he left for the victim prior to his arrest. Elizabeth Corridan reports tonight.
I was just calling to see, I don't know whether you had any interest in going to the Penn State game this Saturday.
Two Pennsylvania attorneys say that recording comes from a series of voicemails former Penn State coach Jerry Sandusky left for one of his victims in September 2011. 2 months before his arrest on child sex abuse charges. They say they have identified the person previously known only as victim number 2, who Mike McQueary testified seeing in a locker room shower with Sandusky 10 years earlier. The victim's identity remains closely guarded. His attorneys allege the voicemails were Sandusky's attempts to maintain control over his victim.
If you could get back to me and let me know, I'd appreciate it. And when you get this message, give me a call, and I'll have to talk to you later. Thanks. I love you.
The victim's attorneys plan to file a civil suit against Penn State. Earlier this month, an internal investigation found top university officials deliberately concealed the allegations against Sandusky to avoid bad publicity. Sandusky was convicted on 45 counts of child sex abuse involving 10 victims. He's in jail awaiting sentencing. I'm Elizabeth Corridan reporting.
Now to Colorado, where we are learning more about the suspect in the theater shooting and about the victims. The alleged gunman apparently sent a package to his former school, but it wasn't discovered until Monday. Officials say it contained a letter about shooting people. James Holmes was known as an outstanding student before the rampage. He withdrew from the University of Colorado last month. Still no word why. And as for the victims, 5 hospitals were still caring for 17 patients. 6 remain in critical condition. Several of the hospitals said they would pay for the medical care of the uninsured victims out of charity funds.